spend time talking about habitat. I'm going to show you some of the things that I carry with me. I have 5 rods, 3 fly fishing rods, and 3 tenkata sticks. So I have a total of about 11 rods or 8 or 9 rods with me in the van at all times. And I do that because I need to know, I want to be able to fish whatever I want to fish. I do not have the tackle for deep water, lake trout fishing or lake fishing. I don't have the downriggers, I don't have that stuff. Yet last year in Glacier National Park, I was catching lake trout off the rocks because of the stuff that I carry with me. So in order to know how to fish and what to fish for, you need to know your fish, and you need to have tackle that can do everything that you're going to be doing. It is limited tackle. I'm probably not going to go after a 50-inch muskie, yet if I do stick a 50-inch muskie, I might be able to get him in with what I use. The number one thing that I would recommend are a good pair of sunglasses. Hands down, you need a good pair of sunglasses. I fish flying fisherman sunglasses, and I'll tell you the reason why. Costas and Smith, they're 2 very, very popular sunglasses. Costas made out of someplace here in Florida. Smith Optics are another very high-end. I fished Maui gems. They're very expensive. You can spend $300 on a pair of sunglasses right up front. It's very easy to do. And of course, if you're driving a mad van, you want to look as bad as you can do. Buy a pair of Maui gems, but they're not going to give you any more of an advantage than the flying fisherman. These sunglasses that I have on cost me $19.95 plus shipping. And here's the reason why I wear them. The polarization 30 years ago that you paid for when you bought Smith's, Solar Optics, Maui Gems, Costas, etc., was all development and a lot of R&D went into the polarization. Well, that polarization was patented, and now it's free source. The patents have worn out. So it's all free source polarization information out there. Maui Gems did the same thing. They patented it, you could only get it from Maui Gem, their knowledge on it. Flying Fisherman Sunglasses was developed by a gentleman that did all the film work for several of the ESPN fishing shows, and he did all the camera work. He took that information once it became free source and made a sunglass company that made it affordable. If I lay my Maui Gems on the back of my truck and drive off, which I've done before, that's a $300 problem. If I lay these on the back of my truck and drive away, that's a $19 problem. Big difference. I got a bug flying around. I wear these also because I have no eye strain, there's no deflection. It's the same technology now that you're going to get on the higher end sunglasses. And I'll tell you one other thing that's nice about it. If you go to flyingfishing.com, they're made here in the Keys, flyingfishing.com, and you type the word in future in the promo code, you'll get a 40% discount. So rather than paying $300, you can buy a $26 pair of sunglasses, type the word future, and you can get them for $18. And that's all I wear. It's all, I get no money for it, but still to this day, Costa will send me 2 pairs of sunglasses and so does Smith Optics. That's about $1,000 worth of sunglasses. They still send me. I do seminars all over the country. I'm out there and people see me as an influencer when it comes to fishing. They send me their sunglasses because they want me to wear them. I usually use them and give them away as auctions because I prefer flying fisherman sunglasses. I just think they're better, they have better optics. I don't like to spend $300 on a pair of sunglasses. Spend your money where you want to spend it. All right? So now, with that in mind, I'm going to show you some of the stuff. when I go out, this is pretty much all I carry. And I'm going to show you some of the stuff here. This is a travel rod, and we'll pull it apart and show it to you. But I know, like I said, I've fished in all 49 states. I know what kind of fish are out there, and I know what I'm going to be fishing for. I can fish for with leeches. By the way, live bait works. If you want to catch fish, I'm not necessarily saying you have to go out and catch big fish, but if you want to catch fish, live bait, crickets, grasshoppers, minnows, worms, field moths, grubs, they work. They're very effective. Last year I was up on the White River and I was using my fly rod, which I like to fish most of the time. I'm using my fly rod. I caught 80 fish in one day. And we went out several days in a row. Now these weren't big fish, guys. I mean, these might have been fish like this or fish like this. They were smallmouth bass, crappie, bluegill, red ear, sunfish, suckers, catfish, and we're catching them on the fly rod in the little river. I like to wade, all right? I like rivers. There's rivers all over the country. I like the rivers. Do I get in a boat? Most of the time when I'm out traveling, I don't have a boat. There's only one gentleman here that I saw right now that brought his own boat. There are 2 paddle boards, and he's got like a 147 or somewhere in that neighborhood. He's got 2 paddle boards on the side of his van. So in a van, you really can't have a boat. I don't like to wear waders. I like to wet wade. Waders are just something else that take up space in the van. I don't have a lot of space in my van. I'm married. That's a joke. So when I travel, I sleep with my rods. Most of my rods.
Like the ladies are not.
I know. They get it, and you guys understand it. I sleep with my rods. The rods are beside me on the side of my bed. It's very, very important. I have my wife on my right and my rods on my left. They're very important. When I do go out, like I said, I'll pull this out and I'll leave this up here a little bit later on so that you can come up and see it. My tackle is nothing special. I mean, it really is not. My tackle is tackle that works. A beetle spin, a rooster tail, a small meth spinner, the number 9 or number 7 floating black and white Rapala, depending on what part of the country you're from, works. Hooks, lines, bobby sinkers, they all work. So know your fish and know your habitat. I was fishing a stream when we were someplace we weren't in the Utah, Michigan, we were in middle of Michigan around the Ludington area. And I was looking at this stream, and it was early in the morning, and I thought, I'm going to catch smallmouth on this stream. So I went down, and I know that smallmouth like gravelly bottom, a little bit rocky area, a little bit sandy with some good moving fresh water. I use a little bitty Rebel weed crawl, which is a small little plug that you cast. It's made by Rebel, and it's a small weed crawdad imitation. I was casting it, retrieving, we caught some smallmouth. As the water warmed up and as the day moved on, I wanted to catch some largemouth bass, so I went to a different part of that stream, same stream, but a largemouth bass requires slower water and a little bit more of a sooty bottom. And it's all because of the reproduction on them. The largemouth bass is an ambushed predator as compared to the smallmouth bass, which is more of a forage. So knowing the characteristics of each fish, I was able to fish a worm or a small little jig that imitated a crawdad in the slower water that had a little bit muckier bottom, more weedier, and I was able to fish that and caught some largemouth bass in the stream that I was catching smallmouth bass in earlier, but in different parts of that stream. So understanding the fish that you're going after is also very, very important in order for you to make your trip and your outing a very, very successful fishing trip. I have not fished at all on the way over here. I may fish on the way back because we had to get over here pretty quick. I've got a big event that I've got to do on the 3rd when I get back. So if we have time, I may stop someplace and fish a little bit extreme. I don't like snakes. I'm not big on snakes, and there's a lot of gators here in Florida. We have gators over there, but not like they do over here. So that's a little bit different for me. When you go up north, there's not so many snakes and there's definitely not gators. Now, what I would like to do at this point, and if I lay this down, then I won't be able to talk, but I would like to funnel or filter some questions. I'm telling you, the fishing is out there. If you're not definitely looking for that major lumber bass or the biggest walleye that you've ever caught, then you can take your van and go anywhere in the country, because every place, Stephanie used to go into the mall downtown Indianapolis. I would get out my fishing rod and walk the little catch ponds, because every catch pond, at least in the state of Indiana, has fish in it. They have to put catfish, bass, and bluegill or crappie into a catch pond or a development pond because of the mosquitoes and the bug control. So here my wife is downtown Indianapolis fishing one of or shopping in the mall. There's a catch pond because everything comes down, hits the parking lot, runs into a catch pond. And I'm out fishing with a small little night crawler on Texas rig, catching bass off the bank. And it's legal to do, because the state put those fish in there, and it's legal to fish them. Would I keep them? No, probably not. I'm catching anyway. So I'm catching, throwing back. But every pond in every development's got fish in it. I've got a little bitty pond in my backyard. It's a decorative cascading pond that runs down over some rocks. I didn't put fish in it, and there's fish there. I don't know how they got it. There's fish in it. And they're not big, but they're about like that, but they bite. I've gone out and caught them with a number like 29 hook bait just to see if I can catch them. I microfish. Microfish are catching fish 3 inches and smaller. Why do I microfish? There are 27 different sport fishing species of fish across the country. There are 396 different species of fish in the state of Texas in fresh water. So we don't have all 26 species of sport fish in the state of Texas, but I've got all these little bitty microfish. And I'll show you a picture after bed if you want to see it, of some little bitty fish that's about the size of a nickel, but I've got on the palm of my hand. It's a beautiful little fish, and it's got a size 34 hook in the corner of his mouth.
Ouch.
I entice that little guy to fish. Why? Because I like to fish. It doesn't matter how big he is. For me, I want to catch fish. And there are people that have picked up microfishing, and now that's like birding. They have you can go to iNature or Master Nature or something of that nature, and you can type in your fish, and they have a lifelong record of all the fish that they have caught. It's called iNaturalist, I think is what it is. But it's called microfish. If you don't know anything about it and that sounds interesting to you, it's very, very interesting. You have to buy everything offline because nothing carries it, or nothing carries hooks that are size 34, 36 with frog hair line. You can't even see it. You can't tie your own hooks. They come pre-tied for you. And you fish with it with a small little cane pole that maybe is 6 or 7 feet long. But it's a lot of fun to do. So, at this time, I'm going to open it up for questions. If you have questions, how can I use my van to get out and do some fishing? Please ask, because I can't touch on all the questions, but like I said, I've fished in every state here in the continental United States. I've fished in 9 of the 11 provinces, and I've fished south of the border. So, you've got a question. Yes, sir.
How do you deal with the license? You know, every state in Canada, we like the fish we go, some are reasonable, some are outrageous just to get a license, not a resident.
You're absolutely correct. The question is how I deal with licensing. Last year I had 17 licenses in my wallet. Be it a day license, be it a 3-day license. I bought an annual for Michigan, an annual for Indiana, an annual for Montana. I think those are the 3 annuals. Now, I think my Montana license was $105 for the year. But I fished, we were up there quite a bit, and I fished quite a bit while I was up there. Same with Michigan, same with Indiana. But guys, I believe I'm in the fishing industry. Fishing licenses put money back in the industry. I'm a strong supporter of it. no matter where I go, if I'm gonna pull out a fishing rod, I'm gonna buy online, probably a 1 day. I like a 3 day rather than a 1 day. But I always buy a fishing rod. Shane Wilson cannot get stuck with a ticket for because of not buying a fishing license in my business. Somebody would find out about it. Yes, ma'am.
Microfish, are those babies? Are they always going to be that size? Or
Good question. Little darters, okay, or mosquito fish. They're only going to get so big, so they're full grown at 3.5 inches. Darters, are a day swim, full grown. Some of them are tiny little bitty fish. I mean, I've got the cutest little black drum. Cute. Little bitty black drum about like that. Or a little bitty flounder, about the size of $half in my hand that I caught microfish. So some of them are immature fish and babies. Others are full grown at 2.5, 3 inches.
how do you get a hook out without completely destroying his mouth?
You're very gentle. Sometimes, they're
It
very
hurts.
gentle. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a whole different challenge. You're right. How do you get a little bitty hook? Well, you use a little bitty hemostats. You use the back part of your knife to back that hook out. It's if you're an ethical angler, you take care of everything, so you don't even want to hurt the worm. The worm is designed to be.
I don't care about the one.
Good question. What else? How do I hook a leech on when I'm walleye fishing? You go to the store. The nicest thing about a leech, and when you get leeches, how many of you have ever fished a leech?
No.
Oh, they're nasty. They do have a sucker. The sucker is the tail end of the leech. And they get that sucker on there so that they can hold the fish a little bit to start sucking through that blood. But what they'll do, get that sucker and suck onto your thumbnail. So let that leech attach itself to your thumbnail, then take your hook and stick it right through, and then go right in your thumbnail, because you're not going to penetrate your thumbnail, but you're going to go through that leech, and then just peel that leech off. Now you've got the leech on your hook, and it swims the other direction. So it's all the time swimming, pulling your hook with it, and it's a natural imitation. When you're bringing it through the water, it's still swimming. So you're bringing it through the water, it looks natural, and it's a very, very effective bait for walleye or for other things. But they're nasty. When they do suck on you, don't freak out. Just use that and stick your hook through it. A lot of fun to do. Yes, sir.
Have you discussed what fishing futures is?
No, I'm not. Let me tell you this. Roger, you live on what river there in Cincinnati?
Ohio.
Yeah, but there's another river that we went down.
The Great Little Miami.
The Great Little Miami. Great Little Miami is a legendary river. It has a tremendous amount of history that runs through it. So last year, Steph and I were out gallivanting and coming through. Obviously, we met Roger and Kathy at one of the rallies several years ago. A friendship developed, in which I hope all of the friendships that you make at these rallies develop. So Roger made the mistake, hey, if you guys ever come through Cincinnati, pull in and stop, and we'll do that. Well, so, they offered that to me, and I'll do it. So we pull in, we park right there beside their house, and Roger knows I like to fish, so he says, hey, why don't we go down and check the Great Little Miami River? I've done a lot of historical research on Cincinnati and the Mississippi and the Miami and the Ohio, and all of those rivers through the Indians, etc. And I wanted to go down and fish the Little Miami. Needless to say, I took my fly rod down there. I don't think I caught any fish down there that day because there was something that was going on. We were just looking at it. But we're down there looking, and I'm dying because I've read about this one little river for many, many years. I'm now on it. I'm now in it because I like to get in the water. I'm now in it with my fishing rod. I did take a few casts, didn't catch anything. But had I not owned my Mad Band and made my Mad Band rally friends like Roger and Kathy, I would have never had that experience. Did I catch any fish? No. But fishing is not always catching fish for me. Fishing is just getting out there and enjoying it. I've read about the Little Miami. I can go into story after story after story of some very famous individuals that helped establish the settling of Pennsylvania, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Mississippi, etc. And they mentioned a little Miami. So to me, I was freaked out, wasn't I?
Yeah, you are.
I was freaked out. So, okay, now, Roger asked me about fishing's future. I don't want to talk a whole lot about it. When I was teaching school, I was running the alternative program for our school district. And I was working at a central office. I was a director of discipline and the director of the alternative program. So the kids that got kicked out of my school, such as Matthew, if Matthew would have been going to school with us, he would have been kicked out, correct? And he would have been kicked out if he came to come visit with me. Well, those are good kids, but they're bad decision makers. So I'm the director of this program, and I've got all of these kids that have been kicked out of high school and junior high, and I've got them under my care. I've got a great staff, and I'm thinking, what can I do to keep these kids together with their parents? I think parents and kids, other than these two right here, and I'm glad you're here, I think parents don't spend enough time with their children, and I think that's the downfall of our society. We were lucky. We were a generation where our parents, I think probably the last generation where the parents spent quality time with their children. I was fortunate enough that my parents, we sat down at the table and we ate dinner together and we spent a lot of quality time together. Well, our societies, because both parents have to work anymore and they're off doing their own thing, and kids now have iPhones and electronics they've got to dive into, they don't get that type of quality engagement. So they don't spend enough time with the parents, thus they make bad decisions. And even though they're good kids, they were making bad decisions and getting themselves kicked out of high school. I thought, what can I do to keep the family together forever? So I took the two letters from the two words families forever. And I made a logo, made a fish out of them. You can see these are two lowercase f's. And they're turned around embracing. I'm a hugger. I grew up in Indiana, we hug in Indiana. So this fish here is made of two lowercase f, stands for families forever. I thought, now my parents said this forever. If, they said, Shane, if you want a good future, get a good education. No matter what it is, you get an education, and that's going to lead to a good future. So I associated education with future. Going to college was not even an option for me. Graduating high school was not a privilege. It was something that was expected. You graduate from high school, you go to college. If you want a graduation party, graduate from college, and we'll give you some. So I thought, if I do nothing but angling education, if I do nothing but teach fishing, I really am fishing's future. And the name fit with my logo. And every decision that we've been making on the back of my business cards is this. It's about the family. I'm trying to keep families together. I'm trying to hook parents back to their kids. So I started that in 2007 because I knew I was going to retire. I retired in 2020, so 13 years prior to that. I did not want to see myself retiring and then going back and substituting. A lot of teachers do that. They spend 38 years in school, they retire, they can't wait to retire, and the next year they're back subbing. And they're being treated like a doormat for $70 a day when they gave up fairly decent money. When they were doing it full time. So I started Fishing's Future, which is based on families. That organization has grown from one chapter I started in 2007 to 67 chapters. At one time we had 72 chapters in 23 states. We have, most of our chapters are in Texas, Kansas. I think we have 17 chapters in Kansas, 19 or 21 chapters in Texas. We did our millionth individual on July the 20th, 2018 in Fort Benjamin Harrison State Park, Indianapolis. We had 11 events going on that Saturday. 11 different, out of 5 different states, 11 events in 5 states. The little individual that was our 11th, our 1 millionth participant was a guy by the name of Silas Fix. He was 11 years old. And I didn't start Fishing's Future to do 1 million people. I started Fishing's Future to teach parents how to spend time with their children. The Lord blessed us, and all of a sudden I'm looking at number 1 million right here in front of me. I'm laying in bed, and I'm a religious individual, but I'm not, one that's out stopping everything. But I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, now where do we go? We've got 1 million people. I thought we need to find another population to help. So I came up with the idea of helping the wounded veterans and the veterans, and also the people that are paraplegics, quadriplegics, and those that are confined to medical beds. So I made a boat that's called the ICANN Initiative. It's a 26-foot tri-tune pontoon. I bought an old used boat, completely stripped it down to like the table here. I mean, took everything off of it. Got an individual who was in a wheelchair, put him up there and said, "No, pretend like you're the captain. What do we need to do?" He said, "Well, we can't have this, we can't have that." And one of the engineers that was helping me build this boat, his wife for the last 5 years had spent time in a wheelchair. She had a stroke and was in a wheelchair, and she needed a lot of physical therapy and a pool. So he bought one of those chairs right over there that allows you to go from the bank into the pool so that you can do your physical therapy and get you back out. And he had it on the side of his pool. And he said, "I don't want this. Why don't we put this on your boat?" "Why don't we put it on my boat?" So I bought it for me. He donated. He said, "Let me donate it to you." And I said, "No, let me buy it. And then if you want to make a donation to me, you can make a donation to me." So I bought it for $3,000, and he made a $5,000 donation back. It helped him and it helped me. And I can prove on the books that I bought it. Okay. So we put that on the boat. It's the only boat like it in the world that has that feature on it. There are a lot of boats that have a lift on it that will take you from the dock to the boat to the dock. But mine takes you from the boat down into the water, and then you can get out and play in the water. So we had that already loaded on the boat. We knew where we needed that because we had to do some structural engineering underneath on the side of the boat. Because when you put a 240-pound man out, 38 inches off the side of the boat, you've got a lot of pressure pushing down. So we had to beef that side of the boat up because it was aluminum frame. We had to strengthen it. We tried to get some proprietary, I tried to get a patent on it, intellectual patent. We couldn't, but we tried to do that. So we knew where that chair was going. Needless to say, with the help of an individual who wasn't he was a paraplegic, and his wheelchair, we designed the boat. We raised the rails up 28 inches. There's nothing on the boat that's really stationary. I have areas where I can put 2 medical beds where we've used them before for the cancer patients. But 2 medical bed tie downs. We can tie down 3 big wheelchairs, like the little wheelchair that this individual's running around in. That chair weighs 560 pounds with the batteries and everything in it. You can put 3 of those chairs down. We've got tie downs specifically located throughout the boat. And we use that, and we take these individuals. I built a brand new boat dock, boat lift. Everybody has a dock to get down into a boat. We have the boat, the individual gets out of their van. They get out, they go down, they go onto the sidewalk, they roll right down into our boat lift. Our boat lift lifts the boat directly up to ground level. There's about 1.5 inch gap. They roll straight on the boat, we lower the boat down into the water, and we go. So there's no ramp or anything for them to do it. It's extremely efficient and safe for them. And that's the number one factor, is the safety factor. Folks, I have taken people out on the ICANN, and I'm going to give you one story real quick, and if you want to hear more, I can show you more. It's all on the fishingfuture.org website. You can go and look at the ICANN initiative, and I've got cards here that I'll give you if you like. I've even got some brochures for it. But there was an individual who his son and the wife, 26 years prior, had a beautiful little boy who had cerebral palsy. And for 26 years, they have dealt with this wonderful blessing of a child that could not do very much, couldn't do anything on his own. Yet they loved him very dearly. They called me and they said, can we take our son out onto your boat? I would like him to swim in the Gulf of Mexico. At that time, it was called the Gulf of Mexico. So I said, absolutely. Let's go. They said, what do you charge? I said, I don't charge anything. They said, what do you mean? I said, no, I do this because it's the right thing to do. You spend enough money on your son, let's take him out and give him something that's really enjoyable. They said, well, I said, if you want to give a donation, but we don't charge you. We do it from grants, donations, and personal sponsorship. So we bring them out here. I've got mom and dad, little sister, brother, and the individual who's 26. We go out, we do a nice little boat ride. There's dolphins out, we're watching the dolphins go through. They didn't want to fish, so we just did our dolphin watch and watched the spoonbill rosettes, etc. And we grew up in water and stuff this deep. Dad and the daughter and the younger brother didn't get in the water. Mom and myself and one of my volunteers put the young man in the chair just like that. Well, not quite like that, but similar. I give mom the remote. Mom takes the remote, lowers him into the water. When his feet hit the water, boy, he just like, yay! I don't know. But then Dad gets him out, and Dad is playing with him in the water. And he's just, he's frothing at the mouth. He's having the time of his life. Dad's crying. Dad's right down here. I'm still on the road. Dad's right down here. Dad's looking up at me and crying, and all he can say is thank you. Thank you. It's just, I get emotional when I say it because it was such a reward for that family. I've since taken people out that have lost their legs with cancer, paraplegia, or quadriplegics. I've done multiple times. Medical beds, people that are stuck in a medical bed because of cancer or some other disease. We strap them down, we take them fishing. We have to help them fish. And when we fish them, we let them play with it. Can you imagine being stuck in a medical bed? I can't imagine. I lived my entire life to fish. If the Lord takes that away from me, I might as well be dead. And to be able to go out and fish again for that amount of time is very, very rewarding. And to be able to do it at no cost to them is even better. So there's a video on our website that, again, it's fishingfuture.org on the ICANN initiative of a young lady who called me from California. She said, my dad, he lost the use of his legs through a flu vaccine. And he's never been fishing in his life. I would like to go fishing with him. She flies in from California. She said, what do you charge? I said nothing. And she started crying. She said, you can't do it. I said, I can do it for nothing. Come on. She flies in. I put mother and father and daughter on the boat. We take them out. Father has never been fishing, yet he owns his own seafood restaurant down on just across the bridge from South Padre Island. Has owned his own shrimp fleet, but he'd never been fishing before. His wife had fished. Sissy, his daughter, had fished, but he'd never been fishing. He goes out and we put him on fish. He outfishes Cece, he outfishes Mrs. Sisio. We take the fish in, we clean them, we take them to a restaurant, they cook our catch. Cece fished with the daddy for the first time. He caught his first fish on the ICANN. 6 weeks later, he dies. Wow. 6 weeks later, he dies. Cecilia, the mother, called me. She said, Shane, she goes, I just want you to know that trip on the ICANN is one of the most important trips I've ever spent with my family. Thank you. Of course, it's just a blessing to be able to do. And I am blessed to be able to do it. I'm blessed to be able to tell you, thank you, Roger, for even doing it. There are many people of this organization that send us, a check here and there. There's a gentleman back there. Thank you for your support. Because if the money goes, everybody gives to something. ASPCA, Red Cross. I don't give to the Red Cross anymore, and I don't give to the ASPCA. I give locally to my Humane Society group, in which I serve on the board. I give to Fishing's Future. We are a non-for-profit charity. I always send a tax letter. If you want to pick up another charity, we'll take it, because you know where your money goes. But that's not what I'm here for. It's not a pitch to Fishing's Future. I want you to know, guys, the last time I took my father fishing, and this is what fishing does to me, and this is why I think it's important. And there's a big movement across the country right now where we're trying to get more people back out into fishing, and it's called the R3 movement, which is reactivate, recruit, reactivate, and retain. And it's a big movement within the fishing industry because fishing sales licenses have gone down, like hunting licenses have gone down for a long time. The thing that I think that we need to do is, my father was 83 or 85 the last time I took him fishing. And I want you to understand this. Dad's in a wheelchair. He's dying of COPD. He's on oxygen. He can't breathe without it. He's completely blind from macular degeneration. And I'm sitting there and I said, hey, Pop, why don't we go fishing? And he says, I can't go fishing. I said, oh yeah, I can. You know, you heard this story this morning. I said, yeah, you can, because that's what I do, Dad. I take people fishing. Last year we opened the first blind, the South Texas Blind Anglers of Fishing's Future. They have their own chapter. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. So I take Dad down. Dad fished his entire life, teaching me how to fish. I hooked Dad up with a little press button fishing rod and reel, put a bobber on it, put a sinker on it, put a hook on it, put a worm on it. And I said, Dad, over there about 9 o'clock, 10:30, between 9 and 10:30 are trees, don't cast in that direction. You can cast everything from 11 o'clock over to 2:30. You can cast it out. You can cast it out with your eyes. He casts it out, reels it up, feels where his bobber is. All of a sudden his bobber goes down. He sets it up, brings in a little bitty bluegill. Bluegill's slow. Brings in a little bluegill. We bring it up. I take it off, let it in his hand. Oh, he's just so happy. Oh, he's so happy. He's looking at it, and he's like, ooh, baby. He hadn't touched the fish in probably 10 years. And all of a sudden, he's got a fish in his hand that's giving him a lifetime of joy. He throws it back in the water, and he goes, did it make it in the water? And I said, yeah, Papa, we went back in the water, we went back and we fished. We fished probably for another hour and a half. It wasn't very much longer than that. We stuck Dad in the ground. But I had the experience of fishing. You guys can do the same thing with your grandson, your niece, your aunt, your uncle. If your great-grandmother's still alive, go fishing with them. Because she's going to say, I can't. The name of my boat that I take people out on is called the I Can. When you lose your legs, you start saying things like, I can't. And it's like, well, I correct you can. The motto of the I Can is, I can, I did, I will again. I'm going to teach you how to fish. And we're going to go fish again. I'm going to teach you how to go someplace else and fish on your own. Why? Because it gives such joy and it's hope. Think about it. Fishing is hope, one cast at a time. Every time you make that cast, how many of you fish? How many of you have said this? Please add just one more cast. One more cast.